Welcome to A Magical Life, Health, Wealth and Weight Loss. I'm your host, Magic Barclay, lead practitioner at Holistic Natural Health Australia and #1 best-selling author. In this podcast, I aim to give you practical tips on how to accelerate and sustain your health, increase your financial, spiritual and emotional wealth, and to look at something that haunts many of us needlessly, weight loss. In some episodes, I'll have guests available to give you even more tips, but in others, the floor is yours. Drop us a line at A Magical Life Podcast on Facebook and let me know what you would like to know more about. Now, sit back and enjoy, because it is time for you to create and truly discover a magical life. Welcome back to A Magical Life. This is episode 62, and today we have a listener question. How do I make time for me? I'm your host, Magic Barclay, and how I make time for me is by listing my day. I have a weekly planner on my desk, and I write absolutely everything I need to do in the day there, but I also write down me time. So it might be doing some uploads to my blog of the transcriptions of this podcast. I may need to do that in the day. I may have client calls. I may have outside contracts to do. It may be family time, something to do with the kids or the pets. That all goes on my daily task sheet. Then I also block out an hour for walking minimum, and I block out a 1 to 2 hour gap for me. Now that could be going out in the garden, could be listening to some music, it could be reading a book, it could be taking a bath. Whatever it is that I need to do goes onto my daily task sheet. Now, other people that I've spoken to, I've asked, how do you make time for you? And some of the answers they give me are quite weird and wonderful. Some people like to go for drives and they switch their phones off or put them on silent. That way they can make sure that they have time for them without distraction. They're enjoying their drive, they're seeing what is around their community, and that is their downtime. Some people like to sleep. They make time for themselves by making sure they get an afternoon nap. There is absolutely nothing wrong with anything that you do if it is what relaxes you and helps you recharge your batteries, because that's really what making time for you is about. It's about recharging your batteries. There's an old saying, you cannot pour from an empty cup, and that is so true. If you don't make time for yourself, you can't help anyone else. You can't be productive. You can't get your tasks done during the day. And for some people, there's a mental block where having a day where they don't achieve what they want creates a week where they don't achieve what they want. And that can become a month, and that can become a year. You know, how many people recently have said, wow, that was the year that nothing happened. It was an awful year. We've just come out of one of those awful years. But it doesn't mean that you can't achieve. It doesn't mean that you can't put yourself first and create personal growth for yourself. By creating personal growth for yourself, you're actually laying foundations for a better time ahead. Yes, things might be happening around you, but they are happening around you. They are not happening to you. They are not happening for you unless you invite that energy in. So no matter what is going on, it's just something that's going on. How you react to that is up to you. And by making time for yourself, your reaction can be a lot more healthful. It can be really healthy to experience some negatives in life, because it's how you come back from those. It's what you learn about yourself in regards to those experiences. And that all comes back to making time for you. So for me, I'm a list person. I write lists out. I make sure that in my diary I've blocked out my personal time. Now, for other people, it could just be a routine that at 11 o'clock every day they make time for themselves. And if you're a routine stickler, then do that. That is what is more authentic for you. So no matter what is going on in your life, if 11 o'clock is your me time, you excuse yourself from the office or from the family. You make sure that you have things in place so that you can do that. And you use that time for you as you intended, as it is in your routine. Other people can really enjoy the flying by the seat of their pants kind of feeling. And if that's how you are, then by all means, ad hoc your me time. As long as at the end of the day you can take stock and say, yes, I got my me time. Now, if that's you and you're one of these people that just loves to go with the moment and whatever happens, happens, at the end of the day, allow yourself at least an hour's buffer before bedtime. And if you haven't been able to fit in an hour's me time, pop it in there. Now, that might be reading a book for an hour before bed. It might be listening to music. It might be watching something on TV, your favourite show. It might be sitting out, gazing at the stars. Whatever it is, you have to fit it in every day. There's just a few of my tips for creating me time. I'm interested to hear what's yours. So I hope we've answered this listener question, how do I create me time? But if you have some other tips, pop along to the Facebook page, which is www.facebook.com/amagicallifepodcast, and pop down your tips of how do you create me time. This was episode 62, our listener question. In episode 63, we have AJ Augustine coming to talk to us. And in episode 64, we have another listener question, how do I find joy? Coming up in episode 65, we have Ella Hall talking about the power of pleasure. I look forward to sharing more with you on this podcast. And for now, listeners, go forth and create your magical life. Thanks for listening today. Please subscribe to hear future episodes, leave a review, and share this podcast. You can follow us on Facebook at A Magical Life Podcast or at Holistic Natural Health Australia. That's holistic with a W. You can find us on Instagram at Holistic Natural Health or at www.holisticnaturalhealth.com.au. That's where you'll access all sorts of articles, freebies, and more.